Wilder says Anthony Joshua has to make it in America to really be taken serious. But this isn't the 90s. This isn't Holyfield, Bo, Tyson, Larry Holmes, the 80s, Ali, 70s. This ain't then. Wilder is a WBC champion who hasn't come close to doing a pay-per-view event. When all the other belt holders from America, the Foremans, they were doing big numbers, man. Foreman, Cooney, big numbers. Wilder's not posting that up, yeah? In fact, it was Wilder who had to come to England to promote himself the other day. Yeah? You had to come to Joshua's fight. Joshua's not ringside at Wilder's fights. What for? There's no 90,000 Wembley capacity crowds in America for heavyweight boxing. There isn't. And, you know, look, if you're going to accuse Joshua of ducking anybody, it will be Luis Ortiz. That's his mandatory. He's been the most duck guy in the game. Not Wilder. Luis Ortiz has been. The man hasn't even had a proper title shot at anything yet. Did Wilder duck Luis Ortiz? Well, let's not use the word duck because it gets too emotive. Did he avoid Luis Ortiz? Yes, hell yeah, he did. Talking about his too short notice to fight a proven drug cheat. Paraphrasing. You know, like I said, if you don't want to face doping cheats, sports is not the right industry to be in right now. That was unacceptable, what he said there. I understand the frustration. Wilder's getting no shine at all. I understand it. From the fans and Wilder himself. And he has to say something to try and make people pay attention to him. I get it. But it's the same thing. What I was saying yesterday, like, it's a different paradigm now. And I mentioned Joshua as one of them guys who can call out anybody and get the fight. Well, Joseph Parker probably won't go to the UK because he's just not technically ready for that. Maybe Wilder isn't. But AJ has joined that group with Pacquiao, Canelo. I think there was one more guy. I can't remember who it was. Klitschko, perhaps. Where they can call out any opponent. And of course they're going to go. They're going to get paid and they're going to get the notoriety. Tyson Fury could be one of them guys as well. I believe. You have to go nuclear and trap these guys into them fights if you don't have the profile or the popularity to do so. Ortiz is willing to fight Wilder. You're going to have to take on people willing to fight you, not just calling out pie in the sky because I deserve it, I've got this belt. Well, AJ's got 2 belts. He's got 90,000 fans supporting his cause. He's a global icon. You've got to trap the guy. I want to see the fight, but you're going to have to do something. I was talking about Keith Thurman yesterday, and now it's Deontay Wilder. Yeah? England is the place they're talking about right now. It might change next year, but that's where they're talking about. And people saying, oh, well, I should be ranked number 1. Well, look, I've got a belt. It's kind of like people who go to university and take out loans to go university and college and whatever. And someone else who could be even illiterate says, you know something? Can't read and write that good, but I know how to fix cars. So he goes and fixes a couple of cars and works hard, saves some money, buys his own garage. He's successful. Next thing, 2 garage. Entrepreneur. It means nothing. If you cannot cash these trinkets in to buy groceries, as Marvin Hagler said about his AAU trophy, it means nothing. Eddie Hearn is not just going to make it easy for anyone just to get that fight with AJ if they're a perceived danger and a perceived threat. Not just in the ring. Remember, this is a power struggle. Al Heyman is a major player. Why is Eddie Hearn just going to throw that fight to Al Heyman and have 3 belts and we have nothing? First you get the power, then you get the money, then you get the push. You got to get the power. You got to get some more power. You need a power win. Wilder needs a power victory. Yeah? He needs to make himself a target where people want to fight with him. Now, Stavern wants to fight with Wilder, but only because he's a mandatory. He's obligated to fight the guy. But if Stavern was the mandatory to Joshua right now, that's the fight it'd take. Financially, that's what makes sense. You've just beaten Klitschko, you've got 2 belts as opposed to 1 with Wilder. You're becoming a global name. They're talking about Joshua is going to be the next guy. That's who they're talking about, not Wilder. This has got nothing to do with Wilder's skill set. Some people, because he can't throw a jab properly. Get the fuck out of here with that stupid rubbish. I'm not talking rubbish. Gerald Washington knockout victories is not going to get there. Yeah, you're the first guy to KO him, and, he wasn't that bad an opponent, but come on, man. No one rated Washington. The man was on the back foot against Eddie Chambers. and drew with Amir Mansour, a man he towered above. Weight, size, reach, height advantage, everything. And he drew with him. And Wilder was behind the points. No one's really going crazy for that. I thought it was a good knockout, but you got to have some perspective on it. The writers weren't going crazy about that, talking about, oh, did you see the Queen in the corner there? Oh, 90,000 people in the arena. No, it's just a routine win. Gerald Washington. He drew with Amir Mansour. Routine win. You need a power victory. If you don't have no power victories to develop a fan base and corner and trap your targeted opponent, you're not going to get the fight. You're just not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Now, granted, Hughie Fury didn't want it with Wilder. He didn't want it. The Furies can say what they want. They didn't want it. And the Parkers don't want nothing to do with that either. Now, Stavern wants his shot. And Wilder's saying he doesn't want to take it. Well, you're going to lose the belt. You're going to lose the belt because the AJ fight is not happening for Wilder right now. It's not happening. Eddie Hearn is looking to see if he can get Vlad out of his wheelchair and back in the ring for another beatdown and another 20, 30 million or whatever they're going to take. That's what they're looking to do. And when they've sucked dry all them lucrative revenue streams and Wilder is the only lucrative option, then the fight will happen. Then it will happen. But in that time, Wilder's got some profile building to do. And if Al Heyman was in the same position as Eddie Hearn, he'd be doing the same thing too. And all you guys know it. They'd be saying, yeah, look, man, we got the leverage, we're going to use it. And you guys know it too. I'm not saying they'd avoid the fight forever, but it'd be, we need to get the leverage. We need to get the leverage. We just knocked out Vladimir Klitschko. We need some leverage. But for Wilder to say that AJ has to make his name in America, well, who can Wilder draw himself a comparison to from past American champions who were this much disliked? You saw what Mike Tyson was saying about the guy. Who can Wilder sell pay-per-view to? And before you guys say, well, pay-per-view is dead, it's not dead yet. They're still trying to squeeze the last dregs from out the bottle. Right? It's not dead yet. Wilder didn't even clear $900,000 against Gerald Washington. Not even $900,000. An American heavyweight champion. That sounds like 60s money. That's 60s money. 900,000. Floyd Patterson was clearing that when he fought Liston. Fuck, I think Gene Tunney was getting close to that. Or more. You gotta put it in perspective. You have to put this in perspective, man. Fighters who can't call out anybody and make them get in the ring because it's worth it financially have to make power victories. And listen, let's not be talking like AJ just had it easy. A lot of people favored him to lose against Vlad. That's a power victory. He stopped Vlad. Fury outpointed him. AJ stopped him in a classic fight. Why didn't Vlad fight Deontay? Because he wasn't going to clear 20 million from it, from his purse and the pay-per-view revenue. That's why. There wasn't 20 million to clear. There's no money to clear from it. I doubt the WBA would have thrown in the vacant belt like they did with Vlad and Joshua because they're not really bothered about aligning their name to Wilder. They wanted Joshua or Klitschko to flagship the belt. Wilder has a serious profile problem. And it's not Joshua's fault. That's not Joshua's fault. Or his worry, or his concern. Everyone's playing risk-reward. Don't act like it's just Joshua or Klitschko. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it if they're in a position to do it. Everybody. So everybody needs to get off their high horse about this ducking. We know you might support this fighter. The fighter thinks he does. We know this, but everyone's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Yeah? I'd like to see Wilder versus Joshua, but Eddie Hearn's just not going to do that. Because, look, it was a gamble putting AJ in with Charles Martin. AJ only had 15 fights or something at the time. But, Eddie Hearn put the money up and Martin flew over. It was a gamble putting him in there with Klitschko. With 17 or 18 fights or whatever it was. It was a gamble. They're not just going to gamble. They gambled to put themselves in a position that favored them in the risk-reward scenario, which is a dynamic that's been in boxing for as long as you want to remember. Yeah? And I'm telling you now, if you get in the comment section like accusing Wilder of ducking, AJ of ducking, I don't have the time. It's too energy consuming, right? It's too energy consuming. AJ has a mandatory in Ortiz, which they're weighing up because they're looking if they can get that bigger money with Vlad or whatever is on the horizon. Wilder is looking for the big unification fights with AJ, or maybe a Klitschko fight, or one of them superstar fights. But yo, he's got Stavern waiting in the wings. What do you think Stavern's going to be saying? Oh, Wilder's ducking me, man. Because you can pick Wilder, Joshua, Parker, Fury, and say, yo, I think they're all trying to avoid hard fights. Like, in some ways, I think Fury probably feigned a lot of this crap he's saying is going wrong with him, so he doesn't have to take on no hard battles and just let everyone scrap it out, and he'll come along and then pick people off as he feels fit. Might be a crazy theory, but you know, you say one's ducking, I say tomato, you say tomato. Bit too energy sapping for me right now. All the fighters know what they need to do. AJ doesn't have the same problems Wilder does in terms of making fights events. So you can't put them on the same footing. You can't. Anyone saying that is talking stupidness, foolery. This is life, bro. Some of us have to play catch up. Wilder is playing catch up right now. Catch up. When AJ just beat Charles Martin, leverage was relatively similar. But after this victory here, 90,000 at Wembley, knocking out Klitschko so spectacularly, getting writers who don't even cover boxing into the sport. He's just flipped the script. I'm not saying it's unattainable for Wilder, but he has to do something independently from AJ, which will force Eddie Hearn to look at that and say, you know something, we need to break bread with the Americans. That's where you need to get Eddie. If you can't do that, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay, let's say if the fight was to happen, right? Who's going to get lowballed in everything? Wilder is. And then you guys are going to complain. And you got to look at the landscape. Like, look, say what you... I don't care what anyone says. Say what they want about Andre Ward. I think he's absolutely crazy taking on Kovalev in a rematch, to be honest with you. I really do. Because Kovalev could knock out any light heavyweight right now in the game. And the reason I think Ward is crazy is, even if Ward beats Kovalev, there's no obvious super fights out there for the guy. Like box office smashes. But he's still plowing away. Now, look, with Wilder, the people who could put him on that pantheon are Klitschko, Fury, AJ. They're the obvious fights he wants. But for him to get there, you're going to have to knock off... Luis Ortiz is the guy. Luis Ortiz is the guy. Klitschko's not available for Wilder. Fury's not available for Wilder. Luis Ortiz is the next dude in line. That's just how that is. That's just how that is. Now, I know that's the bogey prize. And, you know, if you guys are saying that Wilder is the heir apparent, and I think he could be, well, why not? Why not take him on? Why not take him on? I mean, if AJ does take on Ortiz, which I doubt he will, if he takes him on this year and blows him out, what? So AJ's knocking out Klitschko, Ortiz, and you guys are just demanding that AJ goes in the ring with Wilder? No, you don't make no demands now. You can't make no demands. Wilder has to do something out the box. It was unlucky what happened with Povetkin. That was his moment, but that got taken away. We've got to move on from that now. We've got to move on from that. Wilder preferably needs to bring something to the table. Parker, Ortiz. Ortiz is probably the name. I don't think Parker wants it with Wilder. Yeah? Eddie Hearn is dealing with events. He's not just going to risk getting blown out by Wilder fighting on a PBC card for $2 million. I don't think he's going to do that. I just don't think that's going to happen, people. And look, man, like I said, these are elite sporting events. If you can't get the mainstream press behind your top guy, you're getting lowballed at every turn. Or it's not going to happen. Wilder is the most unpopular champ, probably since Marvin Hart in America. I hate to say it. And Zone 6, you know, like, I heard some of your video, like, I'll tune into the rest of it. But look. When I'm talking about selling out arenas and popularity, I'm not talking about my money, because I'm not paying these fighters. I'm not a promoter. I'm not a manager. They are using their capital to make these fights to make money. If these guys were relying on their business model to be relying on, well, I hope the fourth place guy fights the third and the mandatory gets his shot, they'd be out of there, finished with it. Can you make an event, is what they are saying. And unless you're putting your money up there to pay Keith Thurman to fight Manny Pacquiao, Thurman can't sell shit, and it's not happening. These guys can't make money. Heyman, Hearn, Arum, Golden Boy, Frank Warren. Then what's the point? They wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here. And yes, popularity is important, and selling out arenas is important, right? Boxing was going through a slump in the 80s until Mike Tyson came along and brought people who wouldn't even have thought of looking at boxing. He brought them into the game. Muhammad Ali, the same thing. Sugar Ray Leonard, the same thing. Oscar De La Hoya, the same thing. Floyd Mayweather, the same thing, right? If you can't pull in the viewing figures, then they'll just take it off the air. Extinct. And that'll be that. Something else will replace it. Like boxing is thriving on Sky. We don't have it on terrestrial TV no more because it wasn't popular. They just took it off. These debates are simple. They were quite simple to me. Eddie Hearn's daddy, Barry Hearn, didn't start with boxing. Snooker was his bread and butter. It was massive in the UK in the 80s and the 90s. This enabled him to put boxing on. Sky Sports have had a contract with the Premiership for years. That's football if you didn't know. A lucrative contract. This allows fringe sports like boxing to be on there. Anyone talking this popularity thing doesn't matter. Listen, Sky needed stars like Ricky Hatton, Nassim Hamed to flagship their popularity today. Nigel Benn, Eubank, Calzaghe. Premiership football needed David Beckham. Foreign imports like Klinsmann, Cantona, Shearer to market the Premiership globally around the world. The NBA is not the same financial model it was in the 70s to what it was in the 90s when you had the Chicago Bulls and Jordan. They needed that. Ewing, Pippen, whoever the guys was a larger one, they were needed. They became stars and it became a franchise. So all this popularity doesn't matter. Miss me. If it was up to me, I would have put Mayweather in there with Keith Thurman. And I've said that several times, but you seem to miss that. And I put Pacquiao in there with Keith Thurman. And I put Deontay Wilder in there with Anthony Joshua. But you know something? I don't have the money to pay Joshua to face Wilder. And I don't have the money to make Pacquiao or Mayweather fight Keith Thurman. Of course Keith Thurman should call them out. But it's akin to me telling God, can you make it sunny now? So I can go out in my shorts. And that was a metaphor. I wasn't calling Manny Pacquiao God. I did not say that Thurman should not call out Pacquiao. I did not say that. But at least if you're going to do that, have some kind of verbal skills, some freestyle skills, or a little something. Oh, I think Pacquiao should fight me. I've got 2 belts. What? Who's hearing that? You've got to make the sports writers want to write something about your challenge. If you can't do that, it's a wrap. What do you want me to tell you? It's free market capitalism. This is what this is. All this, I just want to keep it boxing, just want to keep it, it's mad. What? You're the only one who wants to watch boxing. If you believe I'm here to save Eddie Hearn an extra fucking pound in his pocket, mate, oh, you're totally wrong. I couldn't give a shit about his money. I really couldn't. But I understand how the business works. I understand how it works. Liston got ignored from a title shot for 4 years. Why? Because America didn't like him. They didn't like him. He was a thug, a jailbird, sullen, monosyllabic. They didn't like him. America never accepted Lennox Lewis. Why? He played chess. His smack talk was terrible. Go watch him smack talking to Gary Mason before their British title fight. It's laughable. He's worse than Keith Thurman at it. Sam Langford to me is the greatest fighter that ever lived. And I've said it several hundred times. He never held a world title. He didn't get a shot. He beat ATGs in so many weight classes. No, he wasn't popular. So if anyone thinks I'm flagship in the popularity debate, no, I'm telling you how it works. If you want fights and you have no popularity or the machine behind you, it's a wrap. Jack Johnson had to chase Tommy Burns around England, then he caught him in Australia, from America to England to Australia, and then he finally caught the guy. If you don't have a money machine to get in them big fights, you have to do something mad, either in the ring or outside it. You got to do something crazy. And if no one accepts that, I can't really help you. I'm never going to change your mind. There's no point debating. I'm not going to change your mind. This is not a do I think it's right or wrong debate. This is a how it is debate. Because it's been like that since you've been watching it. I'm older than you. I don't care when you started watching it, Zone. That's how it's always been. Always. Like, Fair Shake was talking about the G-Man, Gerald McClellan, today. And he was saying, I'm just grateful I can see some of his fights because of how great he was, the chaos, the precision of his punches, etc. And everything he's saying is correct. And you see, when I look at guys like the G-Man, who took on Julian Jackson twice, and somebody made a video from England, a very good uploader, and he correctly pointed out that one of the Julian Jackson fights, the first one to be precise, the second one ended in a round, did the initial damage that Nigel Benn finished off in London. You see, he fought Julian Jackson twice and straight after fought Nigel Benn. Now, that's just asking for neurological trouble. Obviously it is. But this is how determined this guy was to become great. Yeah? He wasn't going to wait for some big superstar Roy Jones fight. Roy Jones didn't want to fight the guy. He beat Roy Jones in the amateurs. Roy did help him out with some of his medical costs, though, after the Ben fight. He wasn't going to wait for that. No. I'll take on the next baddest dude down the block. Eventually, Roy would have had to crawl from underneath the rock and say, okay, even if I get knocked out, I've got no choice. Now, look, some boxers don't have the same threshold for danger. He traveled to England to fight Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn is one of the most dangerous fighters we've produced in the country. So if he didn't get severely impaired and damaged like he did, he would have no doubt have become an ATG if he wasn't one already, because he wasn't going to let nothing stop him. That's your other option to force down the door if you don't have, because he wasn't popular. He wasn't, the Colgate Smile kid. He was a crunk gym fighter. He wasn't very popular, but he did his talking in the ring. There's a few ways to look. All I'm telling people is there's a few ways to negotiate your career. It's up to you. No one has to listen to what I say. I just provide all the options you have. And if you're not prepared to do something, well, you just satisfy with your little 5,000 people turn up at your fights and your decent purses and be happy with it then. Just be happy with that then. But I ain't doing no crying for Keith Thurman or Deontay Wilder. Well, sorry, I'm not doing it. I'll let you do that. I'm not doing no crying for no boxer. I don't know if you remember Zone 6. I told you, and I can't remember how much limit I put on the years. I said if Keith Thurman was not a great fighter in X amount of years, you won't be able to blame Floyd Mayweather or no one else. And you said, yeah, you agreed. And we're still here. If you believe Keith Thurman has achieved magnificence in his career, then you shouldn't be worrying about what I want to say. Don't worry about it. But the fact is, you know he hasn't. Not because he doesn't have the ability. It's because Keith and his fans, you, don't want to accept that people are not into the guy. And I can't make them like it. That's not my problem. Make a video about the mainstream media. Anyone in the mainstream media who ain't supporting him. They have way more sway than me. The media, the networks, sanctioning bodies, Heyman, his coach, anyone. Pacquiao, make videos about Pacquiao. Cry down Pacquiao. That's the guy you need to fight, not me. You need to fight Pacquiao. If you're rallying for Thurman, call out Bob Arum and Pacquiao. And yeah, I prefer Ward more than I do Thurman. Yeah, I do. I prefer Wilder more than a lot of fighters. But I've made videos about all of them and their inability to catapult themselves into household names. I've made videos criticizing all of them. Or if not critiquing, pointing out why they're not there. And I will continue to do it. I'm going to continue to do this. I don't need to debate. It's like I'm listening to Zone. I just listened to some of your video. I edited this video and I'm back again. And you're talking about, obviously, if Brook doesn't fight, kill Brook and Sean Porter, this, that. Dude, you're interjecting Manny Pacquiao in with Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Porter. I already said on the first video, there was a battle for fighter of this generation. It was Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Pacquiao lost. He doesn't have to fight any of the guys you're mentioning, and it won't hurt his resume. They won't talk about that. That's done. All the fighters you're talking about have to be creative in their own way to develop their resumes and become household names who can flagship events and take boxing to the next plateau. That's how you do it. And that's how it's always been. Pacquiao's not fighting no Keith Thurman or Errol Spence. Unless they do something totally off the chain. Totally. It's not happening. Like, let's say Brook beat Triple G, then came back down to welterweight. Tell me who would have the better chance of facing Pacquiao out of Brook and Thurman. What, you still going to hold up this 2-belt argument? No, it's going to be Brook. He just beat the guy with 3 belts at middleweight. The indestructible Kazakhstan puncher who could knock out Hagler and Harry Greb in one night. It's got nothing to do with mandatories or belts. He just has better standing. He has better credit going into negotiation. There's a storyboard to boxing, and you can write it any way you want to write it. But if you're going to do the full picture, you've got to mention Thriller in Manila, Rumble in the Jungle, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Battle of the Long Count, events. I'm not saying the stuff in between doesn't matter, but if you want your fighter to be mentioned amongst these guys in the events, they have to be in events. I don't care how they go about doing it. Thurman tried the smack talk thing with Paulie. They laughed at him. Called him one time. They call it runtime now. Then they were saying he was a throwback fighter. Who's talking about that now? You see, there's been a few things that Thurman has tried to attach to himself, or the media or fans have tried to attach to Thurman, but none of it has stuck. None of it has stuck. And that's why he's stuck where he is. Floyd Mayweather doesn't fight no more. You're still talking about he could have fought Floyd. What? Is that affecting Floyd's resume? No, it's not. It's not affecting it. Right? Forever, this Errol Spence fight is going to dog Thurman's career because they're fighting in the same period, in the same era. It's going to dog his career. And there's no way around it. You can't stop it. I can't stop it. Thurman can't stop it. Well, he could stop it. Fight the guy. Spence was talking all types of smack. I'll flatline this boy. What? Hold on. And you don't want to fight him now. And he said all that to you. Smack the taste out of your mouth and I'll take your lunch money and everything. And you don't want to fight him. Really. You see, Floyd's albatross that weighed around his neck was Pacquiao. Not Thurman, not Paul Williams, not Margarito. You guys can talk about that all you want. That's not going to be the underlying narrative when his appraisals are being read out. It was Pacquiao, and he got rid of that. Go get rid of yours. I know about unpopular fighters not getting their due. Like I said, the greatest, Sam Langford, didn't get no title shot. Wasn't going to get none. Beat HEGs in every weight class he fought in. From lightweight to heavyweight, right? Harold Graham was the mandatory contender for Marvin Hagler and Ray Leonard. He was never going to get that shot. And I was a Harold Graham fan. I met him in the supermarket, and I think I scared the guy because I probably knew more about his career than he did. Yeah, remember what Mickey Duff used to call you? The chairman of the Who Needs Him Club. That's what they used to call Harold Graham. But when he didn't get the fight with Leonard and Hagler, I wasn't saying, oh man, them guys need to fight him. I'm realizing these guys are doing multi-million-dollar fights in Vegas and shit. These guys ain't worried about no mandatory or no belts. They're the reason people are coming to see, not no green belt or no mandatory position. These guys were flagship in the sport. Listen, before I was into boxing, Harold Graham had European, British, Commonwealth titles dominated from light middle to middle for years. Defense after defense after defense. Deconstructing opponent after opponent. Yeah? It was just commonplace. Errol Graham's on TV. He's just going to deconstruct this guy with this crazy style he's got. With the Winkerbank gym style he has. Same gym as Kettlebrook and Nassim Hamed. But he knew that fight wasn't coming. He knew. Well, you think Mickey Duff was going to try and promote Harold Graham or... No. I know about unpopular fighters not getting their due. Like I said, the greatest, Sam Langford, didn't get no title shot. Wasn't going to get none. Beat HEGs in every weight class he fought in. From lightweight to heavyweight, right? Harold Graham was the mandatory contender for Marvin Hagler and Ray Leonard. He was never going to get that shot. And I was a Harold Graham fan. I met him in the supermarket and I think I scared the guy because I probably knew more about his career than he did. Yeah, remember what Mickey Duff used to call you? The chairman of the Who Needs Him Club. That's what they used to call Harold Graham. But when he didn't get the fight with Leonard and Hagler, I wasn't saying, oh man, them guys need to fight him. I'm realizing these guys are doing multi-million-dollar fights in Vegas and shit. These guys ain't worried about no mandatory or no belts. They're the reason people are coming to see, not no green belt or no mandatory position. These guys were flagship in the sport. Listen, before I was into boxing, Harold Graham had European, British, Commonwealth titles dominated from light middle to middle for years. Defense after defense after defense. Deconstructing opponent after opponent. Yeah? It was just commonplace. Errol Graham's on TV. He's just going to deconstruct this guy with this crazy style he's got. With the Winkerbank gym style he has. Same gym as Kettlebrook and Nassim Hamed. But he knew that fight wasn't coming. He knew. Well, you think Mickey Duff was going to try and promote Harold Graham or... No. And you had to get in with guys like Mickey to get them kind of fights. But it was Mickey who called him the chairman of the Who Needs Him Club. Right? And there was no Sky running things like they're running today. It wasn't like that in British boxing. He had no chance of getting that shot. None. When Mugabe became Hagler's mandatory, that was a different thing for Mickey Duff. He went all out. And he got the fight for Mugabe. But he knew Mugabe's knockout streak against Hagler coming off the Hearns victory, another event. This was just great chemistry. And there's nothing you can do. You can't talk about mandatories and belts. It can't compete with ring chemistry. It just can't. It can't. Chemistry and events. It can't compete. HBO were talking about Mugabe. Mugabe is probably the hardest puncher in the sport. That's what they were saying. It's a no-brainer. From that, it's a no-brainer. Mugabe was a character in the sport. And he had contenders on his belt knocking them out. And then the fight lived up to all the billing as well. And Mugabe became a star overnight, but he couldn't maintain it. He lost to Dwayne Thomas, I think, in his next fight. But it was there for him. The landscape was open for him to just run for it as he saw fit. Belts and rankings don't tell the true story. Well, at least they don't always tell the true story of the reality of the situation. They just don't. That's what AJ said the other day. Belts don't mean nothing to me. The events mean something to me. The memories. He said, look at this now. I've just took the belts from that guy who had them all that time, and look at him there. You've got to leave a legacy. You can't negotiate life with statistics. You can't. Let me rephrase that. You can, but not just with statistics alone. You need life experience. If you go to a Fortune 500 company in the US, yeah, and you've got this remarkable CV. Yeah, I worked at IBM, I did this and that, I walked on the moon, and then them go hire you, and you lose the money. Well, your CV meant nothing then. It meant nothing at all. Tell me about your last fight. Was it an event? Did you shine? Was it a classic? Was you spectacular? Who was it you fought? Was that the fight that the fans demanded to see from you? Take your pick. Anyone who knows the channel knew I grew up on African American boxing. Yeah? But I'm sorry to tell you, you don't have the same gene pool as you did in the 80s and 90s. You just don't. You have to work way harder. Yeah? Ward couldn't get a fight with Triple G. Triple G. Listen, man. Hearns, Leonard, Hagler, all of them guys would have locked down them fights a long time and done, dusted, and finished. This ain't the same landscape. And I don't think the debate between Wilder and Joshua's got out of hand, really, you know, just to end it. You know, it's healthy, man. You know, we're all going to get a little expressive as long as we don't go to the, I'm going to get on a plane and come and fight one of you. As long as we don't go there. And it's relatively respectful. You know what I mean? I'm good with it. Peace.